exciting episode. 4 hours of dead air brought to life. Possibly. My name's Alan. Okay, it's, what are you going to do, right?
Bye. Have a great Friday, you motherfucker.
Maybe it's that lady. Had an affair with the mayor of Anchorage, Alaska?
The mayor, yeah. Oh, I love that.
She was a local news anchor and was just leaving him all kinds of salty, angry voicemails.
Bye. Have a great Friday, you motherfucker.
I assume that wasn't her sign-off on her nightly news program there
I wish
in Anchorage.
it was. That'd be amazing.
Awesome.
This is
Cody?
Friday sign-off.
I was okay. This is just my mind wandering, but what do you think? What market is Anchorage, Alaska?
Number
TV and
one.
radio are different. I remember my boss in Chicago, his very first job as a program director was in Anchorage, Alaska. You know, when you first meet people and go to a new city, you kind of want to get their CV, and you go, oh, where have you worked? Where are you from? You know, where blah, blah, blah. And he was from Detroit, but his first job was in Anchorage, Alaska. And it's not a big, it's like a starter market, you know? It's not super tiny. You know, I moved from Chicago to Kalamazoo, Michigan to start my career, and that was a massive culture shock.
Imagine thinking cold growing up in Detroit, and then you move to Alaska. And their winters are literally you're snowed in, like snow up to your window, can't leave the house because there's not enough plowing that could be done.
This is Anchorage is 176. I thought it was bigger than that. That's about the size of when I moved to Kalamazoo, Michigan. 176. I wonder if that's true.
It's tiny.
Yeah.
That Akron is a bigger market than that. Akron, Canton.
I don't know about that.
It is. Akron,
Is
Canton's
it?
like in the top, maybe not top 50, but definitely top 100. It's like 70-something, I think.
Akron is 88.
Yeah, something
All right.
like that.
Well, Akron, though, yeah, I guess it's weird because, again, television markets, the Cleveland television market includes Akron, Canton, the whole regional area. Why they split it up radio-wise, I don't know. Cleveland and Akron
More
are
turf.
separate markets. Yeah, I'm not sure why, but Anchorage, Alaska, again, that's a place where you go because, it's probably a perfect place. We talk about you going to Tulsa. You should go to Anchorage because
I would go to Alaska. Yeah.
it's probably the perfect place to go because, you probably have a hard time getting people to move there.
I get paid for being there. And then on top of that, I actually have a job there as well.
Well, I think
because that's one of the main reasons why I'm afraid to move is because I'm like, I don't know if I would make enough money in my next job to support myself.
Well, you won't, but that's part of it.
But I'm saying I don't here, and I understand that I'm spoiled. My circumstances are what they are, but I am juggling multiple hats and multiple jobs because I've kind of made a name for myself, and people know my situation here, and they want to support me so I can continue being on the show. Had I not been able to have another job, I love the show, but I don't make enough money for it alone to stay on air.
Right.
So Alaska, that would almost be I'm not going to say the perfect situation because it's some sacrifice, but I'm having money on top of the money I'm making in radio, which is what I do now. So it really wouldn't be that different. I'd make enough money to survive, and then I'd make just enough to get by for doing radio until I can leave to go to another market.
As many times as we've talked about it over the years, I'm always unclear as to what the payments in Alaska are. Don't you have to establish residency there for a while?
Yeah, and I think it's like $1,500 or something.
No,
year.
it's like $15,000.
No,
no
it's
one's
not.
going to pay you $1,500. No, that's
You
not
think
enough.
they're paying every
Yes.
resident of Alaska
$15,000?
No,
Yes,
they're
they
not.
are. Yes,
they're
they are.
not.
Okay, look it up.
Alaska payments.
It's like
it's like government oil revenue or something,
It's like
right?
$15,000 at least. Because it wouldn't even be worth it.
$3,200 last year was the highest check sent out after adjusting for inflation. They're not giving every person in Alaska $15,000.
But there's only a half a million people.
$3,200 was the 2022 dividend amount.
Well, then no way. Then of course no one's living there then. Because
We have a friend who
That's
grew
really
up.
going to cover the cost of your gonorrhea medication.
Absolutely not.
They
They got that super gonorrhea.
They really do. And plenty of drugs to go around, too. There's no gang wars or anything. We have friends who grew up in Anchorage, and they were like, it's beautiful.
I get misinformation all the time because I was told
You give misinformation all the time,
I give
too.
it because it was given to me. So I'm giving out the same stuff, same energy. Because I was told in college, I don't know if it was by a professor, but someone said, move to Alaska, it's $15,000. I think now it may have been $15,000 if you lived there for 5 years.
And you didn't take half a second to Google that or anything. You just took it, ran with it. Most people
They say
walking
it with
around
authority
got their
and
head up their
conviction.
ass. Most people walking around have no idea what they're talking about. Present company included. We've just found a way to monetize it daily. Alaska's incentive program goes back to 1976. It's called the Permanent Fund Dividend. And citizens in the past have qualified for up to $1,600 just for living there. Last year it was $3,200.
That is so lame.
Well, but there are a lot of states, though, and you've, I'm sure, read about them that aren't Alaska, where they're like, hey, we're trying to increase our talent pool. I mean, granted,
But they're continental U.S. Like,
right, but
there's
they're
no easy way
and
to
they're
get to
usually
Canada.
they're usually looking. It's not Canada.
I mean,
You're usually looking for like coders and scientists and doctors. There's a lot of these states now that are just getting decimated with medical professions because they're like,
They're not looking for boisterous phone screeners.
I don't know about that. No, but like Texas, for instance, is just having red states are losing doctors at an alarming rate because they're like, yeah, I don't want to be put in jail for providing female health care because these hill rods in the legislature think that, you know, a woman should have to carry a dead baby to term or whatever, forced birth parties. So things like that. But there are a lot of states that will pay people to go. You know, you move to Kansas and they might $15,000 is one of the figures thrown around for Kansas. So there are a lot of states that are like, hey, come here. We want people to come. I think West Virginia. You know, obviously there are conditions. You know, you either have to be in a certain line of work or you have to, you know, whatever. New Hampshire, Iowa. All these are all
but
states
again,
that will pay people to
These
come.
are all continental U.S. Like going up to Alaska.
What's the matter with that?
And I'm saying there's nothing wrong with that if it's continental U.S. If you go to Alaska,
Did you just learn the word continental?
no.
The Continental.
I learned it from Johnny Tsunami because he was from Hawaii and he had to move to Vermont. And he went to the principal's office and the principal was like,
You mean the contiguous United States. Continental, Hawaii is different. Alaska is connected to North America. Hawaii is not. Hawaii, you got to come back to the mainland.
Correct. And
Alaska is connected.
Okay.
You're talking about the lower 48.
Yeah.
well, yeah, because he went to the office and the principal was like, we're relocating you to the U.S. And he's like, what are you talking about? I'm in the U.S. And he said continental U.S. And he moved to Vermont, and that was the whole thing. He was a surfer that turned snowboarder because he moved to Vermont.
Wait, what was the job where they relocated him?
It wasn't a job. It was Johnny Tsunami. He was.
What is that?
It's a Disney Channel original movie.
How? I like how he says this like everybody knows
Come
what he's
on.
talking about. Johnny
Don't
Tsunami.
you know about Johnny Tsunami?
Sorry. Oh, this is a movie where this happened?
Yes, it's Johnny Tsunami. Where
This is
he-
how he learns things.
I thought this
Hawaii-
was a friend of
Disney.
his
No.
named Johnny Tsunami, or his nickname was Johnny Tsunami.
No, he's named Johnny Tsunami because he would ride the tsunamis in Hawaii. He was a surfer. And then for whatever reason, I forget why he got relocated to the U.S., but they moved him to Vermont. And then he turned that surfboarding into snowboarding.
I mean, Alaska landmass is about the size of a dozen westernmost states. Alaska is massive, but it's connected to North America, part of North America. Hawaii, way out there. Johnny Tsunami. And did everything work out for him?
He connected the two slopes together. There's the rich kids that have all the great ski slopes, and then the snowboarders who were just kind of like the hellions of the city. And
I see.
he brought them two together so they could all snowboard.
So they were pretending that there were any poor people in snow sports.
Correct.
Gotcha. Well, listen, for a narrative device, I guess that's what they had to do. I've got to take a break. Last pair of tickets for you to get to that Alter Bridge show. It's the Pawns and Kings tour. That's their new album. And they are coming through bringing Seven Dust with them and Mammoth WVH. That is a show in August at Jacobs Pavilion, brought to you by WMMS. So I'll have those tickets for you coming back. Last day, last handful.